Your forecast. Expect fair skies Saturday through Monday with temperatures in the 70s on Saturday.
Welcome back to the Tropical Update. We are still monitoring two systems across the Atlantic Basin. One is making some sort of impact across the eastern area of the Gulf of Mexico, and the other will be making an indirect impact along the eastern seaboard. The other that I'm talking about is Fabian. Let's take a look at the last 7 days as Fabian rolled out of the Atlantic, made its way closer right around San Juan, if you remember, the northern islands, and then it started taking that northerly track. Now here's Bermuda, and it's not too far away from there. That's a serious system that we're dealing with, a tropical system. It's a hurricane force system, and look at all that outflow going with it. We are looking at some storm surge anywhere from 20 to 25 feet with Fabian. Along with that, we could be looking at the possibility of some hurricane force wind gusts. It's going to be a windy scenario here near Bermuda as it gets much closer. We're right now about 300 miles south of Bermuda. Winds with this hurricane are at 125 miles. Still a Category 3 hurricane as it's now moving faster, moving to the north at 17 miles per hour. Look at the location of it though. It's at 27.9 north, 64.7 west. Well, a friend of mine, Betsy, and I were just looking at the lat long on Bermuda, and it sits very close to about 65 degrees, not too far away, and now moving northward. So this is going to be a tricky forecast. Nonetheless, we're going to certainly feel those strong winds, but whether it moves to the east of it or to the west of it, that could make an impact here. But we'll keep monitoring that and see what it does here in the next 24 hours. One thing is for sure, though, across the United States, we will get that indirect impact as the surf now begins to bring in those waves. 10 to 15-foot waves could be dealt with here, and that's one of the reasons heavy surf advisories are in effect from North Carolina down to Georgia. So if you're making those plans over the weekend to head to the beach, if you're going to be out there, I cannot say enough. Be very careful as you set foot in the water, and try not to go in too deep if possible at all, because this is going to be a deadly rip current event for many areas along the coastal areas of the U.S., that is. Here's the path. As I mentioned, it's making its way much closer to Bermuda, certainly very soon, as early as Friday. And then it's expected to take that northeastward track. Could be just something that moves out to sea over the next several days. But once again, the main concern here, winds and certainly some rain with it, of course, but since it's moving fairly fast, mainly winds here where we do have some hurricane warnings in effect. A little closer to home, it's Tropical Depression 12 moving east at 7 miles per hour. These are the areas that could be affected by tropical storm warnings, or where we have a tropical storm warning, where we could be dealing with tropical force winds. But the other main concern is that we've had so much rain in previous days here that this could be a possibility of flash flooding for some areas. Most of all, what it's going to be is a rainy scenario for a lot of us here in the peninsula over the next several days. That is a quick look at the Atlantic. We'll give you much more details as the Evening Edition West Coast continues.
forecast for your area. Expect fair skies Sunday through Tuesday with temperatures in the 70s on Sunday.
It's time for a tropical update. We will get the latest on Tropical Storm Henri, Hurricane Fabian, and then an area here to the west of Africa that we're watching here, just to the south and west of the Cape Verde Islands. We'll have to watch that over the next couple of days. Let's talk about what's happening currently close to the U.S. Tropical Storm Henri, winds are at 40 miles per hour. And by the way, this was upgraded to a tropical storm at 5 o'clock this morning. Hurricane hunters were out there last night investigating, found the pressure to have come down to 1,000 millibars and winds to have picked up to 40 miles per hour. Now, it is moving east at 7. The center is 115 miles west of St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, we'll get another advisory at 8 o'clock, so tune in for that. Tropical storm warning still up, of course, and it is expected to make landfall as a tropical storm, but intensify a little bit as it gets closer to land. Now, a tropical system, especially it'll take 24 hours or so to move across Florida. It's going to bring some very heavy rainfall to Florida, and that's the biggest threat. And of course, with the landfalling system, isolated tornadoes, we'll have to watch out for that too later on today. Actually, you can see the convection has really flared up overnight, and a lot of that will be moving in to Florida here. Already seeing some of the bands coming in and some very heavy rain south of Tampa, but we expect some very heavy rain in Tampa on the order of 5 to 8 inches across northern Florida. Flooding, again, the biggest concern here. Be prepared for that. And maybe some winds, gusty winds, and bringing the lawn furniture, garbage cans, stuff like that. But watch out for flooded roadways for sure, and rivers to be flooding too. Now, the forecast does take it across Florida into the Atlantic with time. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Now, Hurricane Fabian getting closer to Bermuda. Hurricane warnings are up. The winds are 120 miles per hour. Pressure is at a 948 millibars. And already seeing winds up to 30 miles per hour in Bermuda. And again, we'll be heading towards folks here. Hopefully you're prepared for this. And then accelerate towards the north and east here later on. Tropical depression Kevin, winds are at 35 miles per hour. This is the eastern Pacific, by the way. Moving northwest at 8. Pressure is 1,004 millibars. It's moving away from land, which is good news. Nick?
Alexander Steele joins us now from your weather today. Good morning, Alexander.
Happy Friday to you, Nick.
Oh, yeah, thanks. And how are you going to follow Tropical Storm Henri?
Well, you know, Mike Seidel will have the latest on conditions in Clearwater, Florida, as Henri moves slowly toward that Florida coast. Dr. John East looks at how much rain Henri could bring to Florida, as well as where it will fall and when. And he'll show Hurricane Fabian and how that could affect the northeast coast. Now, Nick tells us how the cool Labor Day has impacted travel. Nick?
Well, damp weather cooled many Labor Day travel plans, and that may have cut demands for costly gasoline. The Bloomberg Money Barometer reports the feds now want an explanation for recent gas price hikes.
Good morning. Earlier this week, we spoke to you about record high gasoline prices over the Labor Day holiday weekend. Now, the Energy Department is investigating the jump in gasoline prices that pushed the average retail price to an all-time high last month.
It's time now for your tropical update here at the Weather Channel. I'm meteorologist Rich Johnson. Here it is, heading toward the peak of hurricane season, and we have a lot going on. We have Hurricane Fabian right now making a call on Bermuda. Closer to home, back over toward Florida, Henri, Tropical Storm Henri. There's Fabian bearing down on Bermuda. I'll have much more on Fabian in a second. First of all, let me tell you about Henri. Information as of 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, centered 28.3 north, 83.9 west. That's about 80 miles southwest of Cedar Key. Top sustained winds at 45. It's moving off the east-northeast at 8 miles per hour. There's the pressure. The pressure definitely has lowered some. So it has, in accordance also, as you find the pressure drop, typically what you also find is a little bit more organization. But from the beginning, this system here has always been a little lopsided, meaning that it has been sheared some with some of the winds from an upper low in the western Gulf. Tropical storm warning still up from the Osceola River southward to Inglewood. Here's our satellite photograph, and this is a great picture here. It shows us exactly what's happening. Let me show you what's going on. I think you can see the center circulation right there. Notice toward the end, this little donut right in through here. Tampa St. Pete over this way. So we have this little donut with the circulation center. That should be moving east-northeast. So places like Citrus County, Taylor County, for instance, in this general area, Hernando, all those counties up near the coast, you find a little bit of that tidal surge coming in. You need to be ready for that, of course, the heavy rain. Really, two areas of heavy rain. Just southeast of Apalachicola, back over toward Appalachia Bay, also down toward Sarasota and Venice Beach, a couple different areas of storms. Now, one thing with tropical storms, they're very much different than hurricanes in the sense that always prepare for that center of circulation. Tropical storms, many times bad weather could be quite a ways away from that circulation center. That's the case down toward Sarasota and Venice. Well, to the north, also some clusters of storms near that circulation center. But notice the backside of the circulation, right in through here. Fairly dry. That's the way it's been this life cycle of this tropical storm. Here's a radar picture showing Sarasota down to Venice. Fort Myers getting clobbered with the rain today. System will be coming up and over the Big Bend of Florida near Jacksonville during the day tomorrow, moving out offshore. It may decrease below tropical storm strength. It may, as it's over land, and then reform back to tropical storm strength as it heads up the coast during the weekend. Hurricane Fabian, 11 a.m. Atlantic Standard Advisory, 30.8 north, 65.4 west. That's 110 miles south-southwest of Bermuda. Top sustained winds at 120. I was just checking the reports out of Bermuda. Sustained winds are up near 60 miles per hour roughly. Gusts are up to 77, about 77. New reconnaissance aircraft is heading out there, just starting to do some new measurements. Didn't see any new reconnaissance reports for Henri, but here's the latest. The eye getting very close to Bermuda. If the eye doesn't come over Bermuda, it's going to be very close to doing so. Still hurricane warnings obviously in effect for the island of Bermuda. It's tough to see the eye actually very end, right in through here. Here's the eye of the hurricane, and usually it's that right front quadrant. When you look at the motion, this is the right side of it, the front quadrant right up in here. Many times that is where the strongest winds will be located. So we'll find those tides coming up, the large waves. And again, with the red here, that's telling us where the most vigorous showers and storms are. It does appear that that will come right over Bermuda. So the next couple of hours, that's when this eye will be moving over Bermuda or very close to Bermuda. Next several hours will be the worst of it. Projected track after it leaves Bermuda by sometime later this evening, swinging out over the open Atlantic may brush Newfoundland. Back over the Caribbean Sea, actually looking great. Puerto Rico fine, the Antilles fine. Latest radar up toward Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands looking good for you. Back over the coast of Africa, another very significant wave here. We may have to deal with that over the next few days. And here's Tropical Depression Kevin off the coast of Mexico. Will be pulling away from Mexico. Much more on the tropics and your Friday forecast. It's coming right up.
Now you can help manage your diabetes anytime, anywhere. This is Glucerna, an ideal food for people with diabetes. Have a delicious snack bar or a meal bar or enjoy a rich, creamy shake. Glucerna has the right balance of carbohydrates, fat, and protein.
The forecast for your area. Expect fair skies Sunday through Tuesday with temperatures in the 80s on Sunday.
Hello and welcome to the Tropical Update. I'm Carl Parker. We are now approaching the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, and fittingly, we are following two systems right now. One is Hurricane Fabian, which made a direct hit on Bermuda. The wind's 120 miles an hour. It is moving rapidly towards the north-northeast. The pressure 950 millibars. And we're also watching Tropical Storm Henri, which is now just off the west coast of Florida. The wind's officially 50 miles an hour, moving towards the east-northeast at 5 miles an hour. Joining us now is our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. And Dr. Steve, just an awful situation for Bermudians tonight.
It sure has been, and it's going to improve. That's the good news. Let's look at the latest satellite imagery and show you that the circulation is passing Bermuda to the north fairly quickly. It's going to race off to the northeast. And the good news is the southwest side of the circulation has the smallest radius of hurricane force winds. So your wind should come down very quickly. Last report we had pressure rising quickly in 968 millibars, which is good news. So you're not out of it yet, but the overall situation is much improved from what it was just a few hours ago, and it will continue to improve all the rest of the evening and into tomorrow. Tomorrow you may wake up a sunny day and just be looking at the damage at the coast. Projected path off to the northeast, becoming extratropical through time, not expected to impact the Canadian Maritimes. How about our other system, Henri in the Gulf of Mexico? It's an open vortex, no co-located thunderstorms associated with it. It's this little swirl sitting here. You can see the wind reports here, now down to about 25 miles per hour offshore, and really very light, less than 10 miles per hour, down basically from just north of the Keys all the way up to Tampa Bay right now. However, some very heavy rain has come in. Now we're up to about 7 inches of rain has accumulated in Punta Gorda. There's a flash flood warning up for that area right now. Also had about 5 inches of rain in Port Charlotte, according to Dr. Forbes, our severe weather expert, and Sarasota accumulating 4 inches plus in that area. So it's down here to the south where the heaviest rain has been accumulating this evening. We can zoom in on the radar imagery and you can see the circulation center itself that we've been following is somewhere in here, and it's almost disappeared on radar because there's no shower action associated with it. But here's the heavy rain and the flash flood warning down here near Punta Gorda. Now this shower action is going to continue tonight down in South Florida, and then the overall circulation is weakening so much the upper level shear that's weakened it is blowing right over the top of it, and the low